Hey, everybody, welcome to The Signal, Grounded in Truth, a long format podcast with leaders in logistics and technology where we get to the truth. No hype, no sales pitches, not beholden to any sponsor's agenda. Noises everywhere. This is a signal. Today we have Pete Lunenfeld, CurrentWave.ai. Pete, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing good, Michael. It's good to see you again.
It is good to see you. Forgive me while I read this real quick, brother. Pete Lunenfeld, Pete Lunenfeld has, I used to call you Lunenfeld or something like that when I first met you, didn't
Man,
you?
when you have a last name like this, you answer to everything.
You did. See, like when you have a name like Michael, William, Joseph, Vincent, you answer to 4 different names, just whatever one they pick is good. All right. I handed somebody my ID yesterday and they were like, which one's your first name? It's crazy. But anyways, Pete, in case you didn't know, if you had spent your career proving that the most durable ideas in logistics start on the dock, not in the boardroom. He began as a forklift operator on an LTL dock in Tucson, Arizona. Is that right? Tucson?
That's right.
Right on. And worked his way into building some of the industry's most consequential technology. First as an employee, number 2, and CTO at RMIS, which he helped grow from a startup into a company acquired by Truckstop.com. And later as Truckstop's chief product officer and then CTO, where he helped pioneer the transportation industry's first generative AI product. Today, he's founder and CEO of CurrentWave.ai, and he's super cool too, and co-founder of CTO of InfoDock AI, building tools that help people not replace them, which is what some of the people are trying to do. You're just trying to replace people, right? Isn't that crazy?
It is. And I know I'm so glad it's a long form podcast because we can go on and on about that. That's one of my passion points.
Yeah, and sure. it is mine as well. And I agree with you. Speaking of replacing people, I see moving pictures behind you, bro. Last time was it Fine Art of Surfacing? Did you have that up there last time, or what?
I think it may have been one of the.
Oh, it was the wall. It was wall. Right. It was the wall. That's right. And then that's what it was. And then we got all the way to the Boomtown Rats and all that kind of stuff through there.
That's right. Yeah.
So moving pictures. What inspired moving pictures this time?
So I just saw Rush in their new incarnation last month in LA with their new drummer, Annika Niles. And, the Rush boys are in their 70s now. And it's always a crapshoot.
They're still like those Dungeons and Dragons dudes that were nerds in high school, but just kick ass in music, right?
Right. And the audience is all those same guys too.
So. Yeah, it is. 100% it is. It is. Yeah. They got their 12-sided dice in their pockets, right?
But they could bring it, man. Those guys can still play. And their new drummer, replacing the legend, Neil Peart, she is all
And he pronounces it correctly as well. Because it's not Neil Peart.
It just goes to show you can teach new dogs old tricks. Like it was a drum clinic. I will tell you, it was amazing.
No kidding. That good, huh?
That good.
Did she have the big spread, the huge drum kit?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, the professor on the drum kit. Remember that?
She plays her own style, but there was not a miss note. Like, because you go to a Rush concert. It's one of the few bands where people will sing the drum solo in the audience, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100% they did. Yeah.
And she did not miss a beat. She was amazing.
Have you ever see the document? I mean, there's probably, I don't know how many documentaries there are. But
I'm a nerd.
Gosh. I'm a nerd as well. I love Rush. I've loved Rush. I loved them since I think the first album I heard was Caress of Steel, which that's before Neil Peart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Caress of Steel was before Neil Peart,
right.
wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. But then he came on the scene. Man, didn't he work for his dad in a used car sale lot or something like that,
or auto parts or something? It's a great
story,
right?
Yeah, something like. He used to practice his drums in the like the closet or something. Crazy stuff, bro. They're awesome though. Yeah. I love it, brother. I love it. And what's with the LP you got back there? I don't think you had that last time.
Oh, yeah.
You got your Les Paul back there. What's that going on there?
That's my 1972 Les Paul Deluxe. It's only a little bit younger than me. It was my very first guitar. I bought it back when it wasn't a collector's item yet. It was just an old guitar some dude
Wow.
was trying to get rid of. I've had it forever. It's beat down, it's scratched up, but
Yeah.
it's loved. It's loved.
People pay a lot of money to get new guitars that look like they've been loved like that. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It's absolutely insane. That thing's got to be worth some cashola right now, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm never selling it. Maybe my kids will one day.
Yeah, if you perfect, somebody's, like I don't know, somebody's signature and put it on there, you could probably get some cash from somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Is it? I mean, I built a Telecaster, dude. Well, it's not really a Telecaster. Only Fender builds like actual Telecasters.
What do they call those parts casters, right?
Yeah, it's a Frankencaster,
right.
I guess is what it is. But it sounds kick ass. It really does. I'll have to play it for you sometime. I'll send you pictures of it. It's pretty cool, man.
Awesome.
I put in, it's way over the top stupid. I had to drill out so many holes in it to fit all the electronics and hardware in it that I wanted to do. Because I have like an arcade kill switch on it.
Okay.
And I put an extra control on the panel. So I've got a 3-way flip, but then I've got, volume and tone, but then I have a chicken head that I put on there that is full mute, regular, and then straight to jack. So you could just
love it.
You just go straight to your Marshall stack and blow everybody's ears off at any time you want to. And I put a Bigsby on it.
You're my kind of man, Michael.
Sure. I just anything I could figure out, I put on it. It weighs like 7,000 pounds. You actually put it on a stand and you have to stand next to it and play it. It's so heavy. Dude, you started at the same with the same origins that I did, LTL Doc. Except I was not.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%. Toledo, Ohio, 1988 at Roadway Express.
Oh, Roadway Express.
Hagman Road.
Roadway. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I mean, I did 12 years at Roadway Express. Isn't it funny how you'd meet somebody from Roadway Express, and said, yeah, I worked there for 12 years. They say, I did 12 years, like they came from the pen or something.
My favorite Roadway story was meeting some Roadway guys later in my career, some sales guys. And they're saying, well, who else are you working with? And I'm saying, well, we work with you guys and we work with Yellow. And they're like, Yellow is the company that are so dishonest, they don't even tell the truth about the color of their trucks. I don't know if you remember, Yellow Freight was the name, but it was orange. And,
oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I thought that was the best line ever.
But it wasn't Omaha orange.
Mm-hmm.
Roadway was Omaha orange and Boatswain blue, and the very first truck's name was Little Acorn. Wow. Founded by Carol and Galen Roush. No, you had to learn all that stuff, dude, as a supervisor when you started. Yeah, you had to learn all that kind of crazy stuff.
But wasn't the LTL Doc a great place to be humbled?
Oh, and it was humbling because like I never seen it before. I walked out there, they gave me a radio, and they said, we're unloading freight there. We're loading them there. These are the doors you're responsible for. And here's 3 Teamsters that want to kill you. And they're your employees. Have fun. I was like,
I started as one of the employees, and I'll correct you a little bit on the history. Of course, I didn't start as a forklift driver. I got promoted to be a forklift driver.
Oh, did you start as a casual?
I started humping boxes and pallets the old-fashioned way in 110-degree heat in a 53-foot trailer in Tucson, Arizona. And
in the nose of the trailer.
Right. And the old joke, I think my supervisor said, I need you to learn which end of the truck the freight goes in.
Yeah. So we always broke in the new guys. We had a company called Solder Woodworking, and the IKEA type desks that are like 6 inches
flat pack.
thick. Yeah. The flat pack that weigh like 7,000 pounds, and then you spend 4 hours trying to figure out, and you're missing that one part. So they were 48 footers that were full of them, and they came in from one of the close-in terminals, maybe Battle Creek, Michigan, or something like that, or Ann Arbor, that didn't cross a scale, so it was packed full to the top. They're probably 120,000-pound
Of
trailers or
course.
something like
Yeah.
that, right? It's like, here, go ahead and unload that. Can I have some help? No, you can handle it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
As I was thinking about our talk today, it's one of those things you don't think that far back unless something triggers it. And I realized how many mistakes I made on that freight
Oh
dock.
my God.
Like,
Yeah, but it was learning, dude, right?
right. Well, I think looking back today, I talked to so many young executives, and there's always the, how did you start your own company, and how did you rise through the ranks to the C-suite in all these firms. And
Yeah.
you can tell in their eyes that they assume you got there by making zero mistakes and being perfect. And
Right.
it is quite literally the opposite, right? Like, the reason you climb through the ranks and can achieve stuff is not that you made no mistakes, it's that you made all the mistakes but learn from them, right?
100%. It's 100% correct. I mean, it is insane how many mistakes. But when you learn it that way instead of out of a book, you actually
Yeah.
learn it, right? Because you can remember what it says in a book and it says you learned it, but did you?
No,
You know,
I'll tell you my favorite forklift story because you brought that up. I was just learning, and I kind of had for a while, I started in the mornings breaking down the line haul trailers, for the local
oh yeah,
delivery. And then
yeah, yeah,
later, I worked in the afternoons, and, that was more just kind of getting the dock all prepped for the next morning. And I
yeah.
was zooming around on my forklift because, I was a forklift driver, right? Like, I was the
Oh
boss.
yeah. You were the man.
And I had learned the trick of, putting something up on, pallet on top of a pallet. And then when I was going to go grab the next one, I would perfectly time dropping the forks. So when I hit the next pallet, I would hit, just at the right height for the pallet on the floor, lift it, put it up. It was like
Hey,
ballet
that's what the pros do.
until you misjudge a little bit. And I put the forks at full speed through a pallet of pool chemicals.
Oh no.
And the forks went in
Yeah.
just clean, like a knife through warm butter.
Oh yeah. Sure.
And I
Sure.
watched the gurgles of all the pool chemicals. Now, a whole pallet, what was that, 4,000 pounds of pool chemicals now
Oh god, and
covered.
it all says corrosive on it, right?
Correct. And as it covered the entire dock an inch thick, and
Oh.
walking into the supervisor's office with the look on my face, and he just said, "What'd you do?
Oh no. Oh
What'd you do?"
no. At least it wasn't a pallet of like what was the stuff that blew up the CF terminal? Nitrocellulose.
Oh yeah, let's be thankful for that.
Yeah, that's bad news because you and half of Tucson would have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
4,000 pounds of that is like a bunker buster bomb. I think that's what they use in those, right?
Oh
So
man.
that stuff is insane, man. I walked into like second or third day running a container freight station for tropical shipping down in Hialeah in
Oh,
Miami. And I walk out onto the second floor platform and I look down and there's 12 pallets of nitrocellulose sitting on a dock with all these forklifts flipping around behind. I'm like, oh, whoa, stop, stop. We got to get that stuff out of here. Really, really not cool stuff. Not cool at all, man. So, I mean, you learned a lot growing up on that dock, and I mean, you're a. I don't want to blow smoke up your ass or anything like that, but you're a very smart man. You're working on AI. You know AI. You know what the issues are. You know the terminal. You're very knowledgeable. You're very intelligent in what's going on here. Do you view that as better prep than like going to Georgia Tech or Stanford and getting your MS in logistics?
I don't know.
Or a
I have.
combination of both, you know?
I'll tell you what I've seen and what I've learned, and it's just one data point. Okay, so I am not
Yeah.
making any kind of pronouncement, but I learned technology the wrong way. So
Oh,
I got out of college with, wait for it, a public speaking degree.
wow. Well, you do speak rather eloquently, I must
Well,
say.
thank you. I appreciate that, but didn't help me much in my tech career. I'll tell you that much. Well, that's actually not true, but let me finish the story and then I'll tell you. I'll loop back around.
You're confusing the hell out of me right now.
I know, I know.
No, no, go ahead.
I got my first job at a logistics 3PL, right?
Mhm.
And I was, 21 years old, and my job was to open boxes of freight bills from prospective companies and map out the discounts and see if we could get a better deal for their LTL.
Got you.
Boatloads of paper freight bills. That was my job.
Yeah.
And I was an analyst, and it was a pretty good first job out of college, right? And
Yeah.
the company I worked for, that 3PL, did not have a single computer, not one, zero. It had phones and typewriters.
They had landlines and typewriters.
Oh yeah, but cell phones
Right,
were like
yeah.
literally.
Most people think phones. Well, you had one of these. You're in good shape. No, 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 no,
No, it
no,
was
no, no, no. No.
1991, I think. And
Yeah.
the owner of the company said, we should get a computer. So he went and bought a computer, and he walked in with this big box. And I was literally the youngest one there. And he said, he put it on my desk and he goes, figure it out. And
Yeah.
so I opened the box, like I had no training, right? And figured it out and learned how to use, I think it was DOS and Lotus 123. And
Right.
through that
Lotus 123.
sheer blind randomness of being the one who got the box dropped on his desk,
Yeah.
I became the tech guy at this little tiny 3PL, right? Which wasn't saying much. I had no thing.
Yeah.
But what happened right after that was the internet got born. And you know who was an expert at the internet at that time? Nobody.
No, that's not true. It was what's his name?
Al Gore.
Al Gore, yeah, the inventor.
Okay, other than Al Gore,
Other than Al Gore, there was
right.
Pete Lunenfeld.
The World Wide Web and email was brand new.
Yeah.
Nobody knew it. Everybody was starting from zero. So I went to the bookstore and started buying books, and went to my boss and said, we should create a website. And he's like, what's a website? And I explained it to him, and he said, that'll never work.
Yeah, right. It's a fad. Forget it.
That's stupid. But we did it. And before I knew it, I had learned, how to program. Again, not the proper way. I learned it out of a book, meaning on my lap, not school, didn't know what I was doing. And then,
but there's some who would argue that is the proper way.
I'm going to argue that. Yeah. And so,
yeah.
Flash forward a decade, and now I'm running a department of programmers, right? Mm-hmm. And I met a lot of really smart kids who had CS degrees who couldn't code their way out of a wet paper bag. Because they had learned a lot of theory, and they had learned a lot of the right way to do it. I was the opposite. I was like the guy who learned to box in the barrio because I was getting beat up all the time, versus going to the Beverly Hills boxing studio, right? That would be like the
gotcha. Yeah,
that would be the difference.
Yeah.
And to this day, now 30 years into that career, where now I've run really big development shops, I'm still the one that is the worst coder out of everyone, but I'm also the one that's built the most stuff that's made money. Because,
okay,
does that make sense?
Oh, 100% does, because I was pulled off the roadway dock at one point and made the liaison between industrial engineering and actual operations, because they had the MSs, right? And I had, diesel lungs. You know what I mean? Because that's back in the day when forklifts were diesel forklifts, right? And the black rubber tires, and you went home and your nose was just filled with that black soot and all that other kind of stuff, right? So I knew the sweat, I knew the rubber, I knew the diesel, I knew all that stuff, and they knew the coating, and they knew all the and everything else. And so yeah, I get it. I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, I think
100%.
It's practical versus theory. You kind of need both, right? You can't really have one or the other. But I'm one data point of a guy who's built a couple very successful software companies, of being the guy who didn't know the right way to do it, but knew how to get it done.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, the customer doesn't care what it looks like inside. They only care that it does what you wanted it to do, right? If you build a mousetrap and it catches mice, and it catches mice better than the other mousetrap, and you caught mice while everyone else was still working on their mousetrap, but you're catching mice today, you
I think
win.
it's mouses. I think it's
Mouses. Thank
mouses.
you. See,
I
this is
think
why
it's
we have you
mouses.
around, Michael.
Yeah, I know. I'm brilliant. And I think you may have coined a phrase there. Like if you build a better mousetrap, something like that.
Yes.
I don't know. Was that you? Yeah, no, I'm totally because, but listen, those kids that came out with their computer science degrees, their CS, could not have walked into a better place than someone like you because
For
they
sure.
got your education secondhand or directly adjacent, right? From others who don't ever get that experience. And then
Well,
maybe they'll go to a thing and they'll get like a training, like there's a dock, spend 2 hours on it. Now you're good.
right.
Right.
Let me pay that idea forward a little bit. Um, so yes, you're 100% right. Because if you're the guy with all the theory, if you never get stuck with the person who's practical, you'll be non-productive your whole career, right? You still
100%.
know stuff, but you're
100%.
not productive. So my first boss, the guy who put that computer on my desk in 1991,
Yeah.
he ended up creating 3 businesses,
Oh,
2 of which that he exited for, let's just say, lots of zeros, lots and lots
yeah.
of
Yeah.
zeros.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't graduate high school. He was the ultimate embodiment of theory is nice, but pragmatics matter more. And I learned that from him, right? Like he's the one
Yeah.
who taught me that. Yeah, I remember when I was a little bit, further along in my career at that company, I said, hey, I think I'm going to go get an MBA. And he kind of shrugged and he goes, if you wanna. And I'm like, well, won't it help my career? And he's like, I don't see how. He goes, well, you already know. He goes, you already know how to read a balance sheet, and you already know, because I taught you. And he goes, and you already know that the customer comes first because I taught you. He goes, what else are you going to learn? And
Yeah.
now part of that was because he had never gone to school. He didn't know what was available, but he also
Sure.
knew he was already running several very successful companies because the basics that he had just intuitively knew were important. Take care of your customer. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. Mind the small things. Like, he was the ultimate guy, is my favorite story
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
When I was his director of operations, again, this is 25 years ago,
Yeah.
running the brokerage arm of this company. I had like 10 guys on the phones all day, just brokering freight, right?
Yeah.
And I had to come to him one day and say, look, man, I screwed up. I handed someone an order. I forgot the refrigeration instructions, and we put it on a truck with the wrong temperature, and it was a $10,000 mistake. And he just looked at me and he goes, it happens. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, no, but I just cost you 10 grand. And he's like, it happens. You were running hard. It happens. A
Yeah.
week later, he comes into my office purple, and he's holding a FedEx bill, like an overnight FedEx bill in his hand. And he said,
Yeah.
did you send this letter priority overnight? And I'm like, yeah, because, it would get there by 10 a.m. And he said, that was $25. If you'd have sent it standard overnight, it would have been 10. And, my brain is like a little like scrambled, like,
You're
are,
like,
are you,
what?
are you screaming at me because of 15 bucks? I cost you 10 grand a couple days ago and you were fine with it. And he goes, that wasn't in your control. You took a risk and it didn't work out. He said, this was in your control, and that $15
Mm,
difference is inexcusable.
that's
And
fantastic.
the lesson that I take to this day is the pennies matter when they're in your control.
Yeah.
Weirdly, when you're in a business where you have to take risks to succeed, you're going to lose some of those bets. The
Right.
the
Right.
real mistake is never taking the bet, right?
Yeah, no, it really is, and you and I have such similar backgrounds because those are the things that were drilled into me in the very beginning. You could have the best night on the dock, fantastic load factor, met all the service goals, no accidents, no spills, no no damage to any of the freight, anything like that, and have like 2 or 3 pallets that weren't completely square in the bays, and you'd get your ass ripped because it is the details. It is the small details that you have to take care of in order to move forward. And it's also the worst thing you do is not make a decision. Find
For
somebody who's
sure.
willing to make decisions and can stick their neck out there and are willing to go, let's go that way when there's faced with a time constraint and several decisions. And you can teach them the right way to go eventually. They will learn it. And those are dollars well spent.
And as a leader or a business owner or a manager, the worst thing you can do is beat that out of somebody.
Yeah, 100%.
If
Yeah.
you say, well, you can never make a mistake or you're going to pay the price, right? Get fired or get
Yep.
demoted or whatever. All you're going to do is raise people that won't take risks and your business will drown.
It
Right?
will, yeah, because you're going to have to be the person who washes all the dishes because the dishwasher's too scared to do it.
Correct.
And I learned that early too. Don't fire the
right.
dishwasher unless you're willing to willing to wash dishes.
Yeah, I've never worked for well, I take that back. I worked for like a year at Northrop Grumman, which was a really, really big company, but we
Yeah.
won't talk about that because that was miserable. But in my logistics and software career, the biggest company I worked for had a little over 1,000 employees. And
Well, let's get to
oh, sure.
yeah, well, go ahead, make that point, and then we'll
Oh, I was
roll.
just gonna say, and that's where I started to see that middle manager fear of making a decision that then percolated down of
Mm.
taking risks was not only frowned upon but punished, and watching how negative those outcomes are.
Oh, dude, I mean, all you have if you call 3 companies to try and do something with them, you'll run into at least 2 people that are in a position that have figured out as long as they're investigating and looking into something and never actually do or make a decision, they're great. Right? That's the biggest frustration that I've run into now is like these people have these titles like they're innovative officers or they're the sustainability officer or they're this or they're that. And all they do is prove that they're studying stuff and never actually make a
Yeah,
decision. And they're fantastic.
busy over productive is not the same thing, right?
Yeah, but it looks great for the shareholders when they have a meeting. We're looking into this and we're studying that and we're partnering here and we're gonna and then never make a decision, but it sounds great. Let's move to RMIS, dude. We're following your career. We're going through this, right? Let's talk about because obviously logistics and tech are synonymous now, which is very strange. Still getting used to
Yes.
that. But you basically you went from nothing to something, right? And there's got to be valuable lessons in there because you see everybody and their brother trying to build something, and most of them fail because they go, "Oh, tech. Now let's figure out what to solve." Is that the right way to do it, or should you aim
Oh,
first or figure out a target?
I think you nailed it. So, I think you remember from our last conversation, but I'll just recap it. So, the same guy I was talking about, the boss that yelled at me for the FedEx bill, he had
Yeah,
2 kids. And so
yeah,
for my first 20 years of my career, I worked for the dad at his company and for the 2 kids companies as they grew
yeah,
from ideas to legitimate big companies, right? The
right,
son's company was RMIS. So maybe, gosh, 15 years ago now, I transitioned from being the CTO of all 3 to being just the CTO of RMIS. And
yeah,
I think I was employee number 1. And the founder um, and me, and we grew that to 165 employees and an exit in,
yeah,
again, lots of zeros. And I'd love to say we planned this. Some of it was luck. Well, a lot of it was luck. Um,
yeah,
so the founder had a great idea, which was all these brokerages out there are trying to, every time they book a load, they're holding their breath that that truck doesn't get in an accident. And then later they find out that it wasn't insured or didn't have a good safety rating. And then they're going to end up in court for
right,
the $10 million of because the truck, God forbid, ran over a family in a minivan, right? Because that happens.
yeah. Yes, it
And he
does.
had the idea of, well, what if we became the registry of every truck in the country's current insurance status, safety rating, operating authority, etc. And we took that idea and knocked on doors of brokerages, and they were like, yeah, you know what? I currently just have that in a filing cabinet. Wouldn't it be cool if that got automated? Um,
Yeah.
and you blink and it's 15 years later. And I think when we sold the company, we had something like, of the top 1,500 brokerages, 1,400 of them were using our software. And of the top 10 brokerages, 9 were using our software,
Oh,
meaning
wow.
we were the sole source of truth every time they booked a load to make sure that that truck was compliant with all of their rules, had signed their contract, had good insurance up to that moment, et cetera, et cetera. It was a tremendous business. And yeah, we had the good idea to start with. And yeah, we had a lot of talent to build a solution that worked for everybody. But I look back and I would say 85% of the features that made the product amazing weren't our idea. We would get in with a company, a big brokerage, let's
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they would
yeah.
say, this is great. And they'd use it for a couple months and they'd call me because I was the CTO and say, Pete, what would be really cool is if it did this. And we played a game, me and my team, called Can We and Should We? So the first thing we would ask is what they ask even possible? Like, do we have the chops to even pull that off? Sometimes
Yeah.
the answer is no, but in computers, pretty much you can do it. It may be awful, but you could do it. And then the product question was, should we? Is this something that will help other customers? Is this
Mm-hmm.
something that would take a year and the opportunity costs are too gross, right? Like we would spend all this time on this thing that only one person's going to use and it would then displace other features we could add for other people. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
can't just do
Which is a
everything.
big, I mean, those are great questions because most people who start up lose where they're going and go out of business because they answer yes to both of those, regardless of what the answer is, right?
Guaranteed, right? Or they say,
Optionality kills you, the entrepreneur.
or they say no to everything because they've decided that their vision is right.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you're describing is like forward deployed engineering, right? Where you don't
Yeah.
go in there and just start ramming your solution and cookie cuttering, trying to get their problems into it. You are actually live building, breathing solution that adjusts and does it, right? But you've got to go through that question and answer period of should we and can we and should we.
But it all starts with being open to your customer being
Yeah,
smarter than you
exactly.
are. And
And realizing that and having somebody there to listen to them. Yeah, 100%.
yeah, so in the startup land, just jumping to like where I am now, I meet so many other founders that I'll say tend to be younger, not always, but tend to be younger. And the number one mistake the younger founders make is they're too smart, right? They know the answer and are deaf to what the customers are telling them
It's
because
kind of like my kids.
I I don't know your kids, but it may be true. It may be true.
Didn't Mark Twain said I left home at 16 and when I returned at 24 it was amazing how much my father had learned.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so it's this weird, like you have to be in 3 places at once as someone running a business like this, where you have to on day one be smart enough to come up with something nobody else has done, right? That has to be, or you wouldn't be
Yeah,
in the business in the first place. But then you have to
right.
be dumb enough to know that your customers are smarter than you, which means you're smart enough to be knowing you're dumb enough, right? And
Is
then
that
you have,
humility? Kind of?
I think so, yeah. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
think you have to then you're forced to make real decisions, back to our risk and bet conversation of, I think this is worth doing, but we're going to put ourselves on the line because if we're wrong, we either hurt something or cost ourselves or whatever. And it's that ability to put chips on the table over and over and over again and at least bet right enough that you blink and it's 10 years later and you've built an industry darling, right? That's what we did at
Yeah.
RMIS. We started from something nobody had even heard of to an industry darling. And it was that combination of we were smart, but also smart enough to know that we didn't know everything.
And that was purchased by truckstop.com, and that's how you wound up there. Is that right?
That's
Is that
exactly
the
right.
story?
Yeah.
That's the story. So let's jump to the next thing here. So Truckstop, so they became, through acquisition, the first AI and logistics compliance. Is that right? Is that an accurate statement, or is
Yeah.
that like,
Gosh, I'm sure there's someone who would say they did it too, but
yeah,
RMIS was by far the industry leader when we got purchased by Truckstop.
yeah,
And, I just happened to have, through some uh, hilarity, ended up going from being the CTO of the acquired company to the CTO of the acquiring company, which is not the usual path, right? That's kind of unusual.
no, it's usually a cleaned out.
Correct. Yeah. I for another time, I'll tell that
Usually you
story.
become the you become the CTO of some other company.
Yeah. Usually it's
unrelated,
ex-CTO,
right? Yeah,
I
exactly.
had a lot of Friday afternoons where I waited for the phone call that this is
Oh
the
yeah,
day
I'm
that I'm
sure.
getting.
I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
because that's how it normally goes.
it didn't happen anyway. So I have a long, I'll call it, history in AI, but back then that meant machine learning and data science, right? Not
Yeah, it
the
did.
generative
Yeah.
AI that's now what we mean when we say that. And we, decided that we were going to get in early in that Gen AI stuff back when it was really, really new, like late
Mm-hmm.
22, I guess would be.
Oh wow.
And it was cool. Like, we got some patents out of it. I think one of my patents went from patent pending to patent approved just last month, which is kind of fun.
Oh wow.
Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, I joke all the
Yay.
time, like, I got a patent approved, and they're like, what does that get you? And I'm like, that I get to tell people I got a
Nothing.
patent approved. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'll put it on your gravestone, bro.
there you go.
We'll put in
But
there patent pending.
it's funny looking back on it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to do it. It
Oh
harkens
really?
back. It harkens back to my conversation in 1991 saying we should build a website, right? Like, and oh, that's never going to work.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was not so the resistance was in this case unusual. It wasn't resistance from management, like my other C-suite counterparts were all for it because they were a pretty aggressive group, which I loved.
Yeah.
Tech forward, wanted to do stuff. This shocked me. My team of technology professionals resisted it.
Oh really?
That's what I said.
So okay. All right. So okay, so how did that work out? It worked. I mean, so let me ask you this: from that, I mean, when I started in the industry, when they used to ask you questions, the interviews were called stars, right? Situation, action, and result, right? So there's your situation. You're trying to make this stiff done. The people who you pay to know better, right, are telling you you shouldn't or couldn't. So what'd you do? What'd you learn?
So I'm not saying this is a model people should replicate. So
Right.
I
Don't do this at home, people.
Right. I assumed now remember, I was the CTO of now the much bigger organization after being the CTO for a much smaller organization, which was
Right.
scrappy and everyone got excited. When there was a new toy to play with, everybody loved it. Well, in the bigger organization, I came to learn it attracted a different kind of cat. It tended to attract more of the, I just want to do my job, leave me alone kind of cat, which
Yeah.
was not the kind of cats I was used to hanging with. And when we decided we were going to do that very first project, I kind of sent out to the team, meaning I had a big team, over 300 people. And
Yeah.
I said, hey, I'm putting together essentially a skunkworks team to go build something with brand new technology. Who's in? And I was expecting to have to like sift through 100 resumes with everybody banging down my door. And I got crickets, which I was not pleased, right? That's not you don't want a bunch of soldiers that don't want to go fight, right? Then you
Yeah.
shouldn't have been a
Yeah.
soldier, right?
Yeah, that's not good. That sounds like a Monty Python skit, but
Right.
yeah.
And so I take it back that it wasn't completely crickets. There was a handful of folks who had, I'll say, the proper amount of interest and aggression to say, I want to go do something cool and new. Where do I go?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it became kind of a self-solved problem. And I carved those guys out of the team and put them on this project. And together we built something really cool and really novel, especially on the day. Like today, if I told you, hey, we built a chatbot that, in real time looked up compliance information, you would roll your eyes like, so everybody's got a chatbot now. But back
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
this was new.
They didn't.
They
No, yeah,
didn't.
they did not have that.
And what it reminded me of as a builder, forget about being an executive for a minute, but as a builder, you must surround yourself with other people who want to build, or you're going to be frustrated and you're not going to accomplish anything. I don't think it's any different than a contractor who builds houses, right? If you hire a carpenter and he just doesn't really like building houses, you need a different carpenter, right? You need someone who's going to show up every morning and like, what do I get to do today? That has that joy
Right,
in the
right.
building itself, not talking about building, not seeing it once it's built, but has to, love the building itself, which includes hitting your finger with the hammer and sometimes putting something up and saying, that doesn't work. I got to tear it down and start over. You know what I mean? And
I do know what you mean, and I'm listening. I've just got a wire stuck on my
oh, I lost your audio for a sec.
I know, because I wasn't speaking into my microphone.
Oh, gotcha. There you are.
I'm not that smart. So let me ask you this about that. Do you, as you're building that team, just real quick, as you're building that team and running that team, right? You're going through the storming, norming, performing stages, all that kind of stuff of team dynamics, etc. People always say, and I do as well, you can't just have a bunch of yes men, right? Somebody's got to be reading the blueprint as you're building that house, going, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Here's what we got to be doing. Is it better that you do that, or do you look for a role player?
I think the answer is yes.
Gotcha.
I'll elaborate.
Yeah, that makes person sense.
I'll
Yeah,
elaborate. So at that organization with, over 300 engineers, I couldn't be the one reading the blueprint every day, right? That's not scalable.
Right.
But my job was to find the people who could, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the yes men thing doesn't work in engineering, right? Like if I say build an airplane and someone says, okay, what should it look like? I'm like, no, I'm hiring you to build the airplane. And then one of your counterparts, when you build the airplane without wings and it doesn't fly, needs to tell you that's not going to work. You have to be okay with that, right? And I use the word building instead of engineering on purpose. I think software is artisanship, not engineering. Now, you sometimes can use engineering principles for sure to be a good artisan, but software is closer to being a carpenter than it is to building a bridge, I think. And you have to have people that can look at the thing that you're building and say, that's not going to work. And have the other person say, yeah, it will. I'll prove it to you. And both folks have to be able to be okay at the end of it when someone's wrong. That's what healthy teams are, right? There should be, I like this term, strong opinions loosely held, right? I will walk into that meeting and say, that is wrong. My way is better. And the instant I'm proven that, no, my way was not better, I need to be, yep, your way's better. Let's go. Right.
That's 100%. Yeah.
And so I always thought the best teams were the ones that when they had that hour stand up every morning, there was yelling, right? Like that's healthy. As long as everybody walks out with one mission, at least until tomorrow's meeting. Right? And that's teachable, right? That's the beauty, is that's teachable. Sometimes you have to take that guy who's brilliant and teach him to be assertive, right? And he may not be comfortable for him, but that's teachable. What you can't have is a team with nobody who's assertive, because then nothing gets done. And if you have people that you just happen to have a team where everybody's assertive, you need to have that mechanism to coalesce at the end of that meeting with a plan, and not just have 7 guys all go do 7 things, right? Because they all think they're right. And that's the art of managing
That
technical folks.
is, which is probably not. That doesn't sound like it's very easy. Let's start to transition to the next step. CurrentWave.ai or CurrentWave AI, which I love, and let's do this as a transition. So, what are you solving? What problems are you trying to solve with it? Let me ask you this. What does the industry today still not understand about AI? What do they still not understand? And
so that's like,
kind of lead that into what you're doing at CurrentWave.
okay. Wow. So that's such a meaty question. So I think, and I almost need to flip the order around for this to make sense.
Yeah, that's what I was struggling with my brain, is which way do you want to go? So I just throw both of them and you pick the order and make it work, bro.
So let me
I hired you to build the plane, bro. I'm just telling you to build it.
Let me tell you, I have my answer for what I think the industry doesn't understand about AI right now. But to make that make sense, let me step back. So I was at Truckstop when all this Gen AI stuff came out. And like I said, we got in early. And that's where I realized, and this has nothing to do with my fine friends at Truckstop. It's a great organization. I really enjoyed working there. But I went from small company that built something amazing to big company that just had a different level of inertia, right?
Gotcha.
And even though I had over 300 engineers, which theoretically means you have a lot of workers to build stuff, which was true. It was like steering the oil tanker. Now, there's probably other people that are really, really good at that. Like clearly Microsoft and all those guys have figured that out. I realized at the end of the day, I'm a builder, right? Like I got to build stuff. Like if I'm not getting my hands dirty, I'm just not happy. And I realized I had a really good window of opportunity to launch a startup, mostly because I now had this early AI knowledge, meaning practical knowledge on how to bring an AI solution to market. Lots of people could write the code, but not many people knew how to bring it to market, right?
Right.
And run a company. I knew how to do those two things. And I could go back to building stuff. So I launched CurrentWave. You have to pick a problem to solve. This is a mistake a lot of founders make. If they have good tech, but they don't have the problem to solve yet. We knew on day one, we were going to solve what we called the knowledge management problem, which is completely different than logistics, right? Logistics has it, but I didn't want to go just into logistics again.
Right.
Every organization has what I call institutional knowledge, right? All those policies and procedures and how-to guides and everything that someone has written down so some other employee can know how to do it, right? In software companies, every time we write a feature in the software, we have to describe what we did so some dude a year from now knows what was built and how it was built and how it's all wired together. In a logistics company, you might have standard operating procedures for every customer to know, who are my contacts, and they only take appointments on Thursday mornings for pickups, and they must have their pallets shrink wrapped, right? In my niche at CurrentWave, we sell to financial institutions primarily. We are industry agnostic, but we found a really sweet spot with banks and credit unions. So a bank has literally thousands of procedures that they need to teach somebody, like a bank teller, who may be their first job and they've only been there a week. And a customer walks in and says, "Do you guys do international wire transfers?" And that kid has no idea. Well, in the old days, there was a binder in the back of the branch, that was this thick, that he would then have to go look through to see if we do international wire transfers. And of course, he couldn't find it because it's too big. And then he's going to say, and go wait outside his supervisor's door for her to get off the phone So he can tap her on the shoulder and say, oh,
Do
Sally, I'm
we
sorry
do
to bother you again,
this?
but I have a customer here. Do we do international wire transfers? So this problem is
Yeah.
ubiquitous in every business, but banks, it turns out, have it a lot. And so we built software that gobbles up all of their often thousands of policies and procedures and training materials and job aids and SOPs. And we have a platform where that teller can just go to CurrentWave and say, do we do international wire transfers? And it says, yes, we do. What do you need to know?
Yeah.
And it said, I have a customer in front of me that wants to do it. What do I need to ask them? Well, you need to ask them this, you need to get this ID, you need to get these routing numbers. Got it. Now what? Here's how you go into the bank's operating system and issue the wire transfer. Sounds simple. Not, and it is. This is not rocket science, except it hasn't existed until now. So we've been able
Yeah.
to go into a bank with 1,000 employees, let's say, and take what used to be a 10-minute, sorry, Mr. Customer, I don't know, I'll be back in a minute, and
Yeah.
convert that 10-minute wait, either on the phone or face to face for that customer, to 3 seconds, because now the employee can just look it up in real time. It
Yeah.
doesn't take too many 10-minute to 3-second conversions with 1,000 employees a couple times a day to severely move the needle in your customer experience. And
Oh,
employee,
and improve your costs.
well, and here's the funny one, the employee
Yeah.
experience. So if
Oh
I'm
yeah,
Pete
100%.
the
Yeah.
bank teller, do you think I like having to tell you, the customer, oh man, I don't know, I'll be back? Because when I come back in 10 minutes after I've figured it out and you're angry, you're not going to take it out on the bank. You're going to take it out on me. So one of the things that's hard about having a customer service job is you get beat up all the time.
All the
This
time for
takes
stuff that's not your problem.
this
Yep.
takes that away. So not only does the customer get served 10 times faster, but he gets served higher quality, because now the answer isn't from someone's head that they kind of remember from training a year ago what the answer is. Now you get it to be consistent and accurate, and it's instant. Well, the employees end up loving this as much as the customers do. And of course, now the organization has better support, better employee experience, better retention, better everything. And we solved this one tiny little problem, right? Amongst a zillion problems. Now, here's the secret sauce. When we built this, what I just described was our sell, and we started selling it like hotcakes. What we found out was it was actually the back end of the process that was even more valuable. So every time that teller asks, how do I do a wire transfer? We store that question and what the AI answered, just a ledger,
Sure.
right? No different than if you have a bank account and you make a payment or make a deposit, the bank tracks that debit and credit, right?
Yep.
Well, the bank is going to look at you at the end of the week and say, oh, Michael, I see you have these transactions. I think you're a really good candidate for a home equity loan. Okay, they do that all the time. That's
Mm-hmm.
not weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we
Mm-hmm.
can now do the same thing with that customer's employees' questions and answers. So at the end of the week, after 1,000 questions have come through, we can tell management using AI, did you know that these are the top 5 things your employees are asking the AI over and over again because you're not training this properly? And here
Oh,
are
that's
the
brilliant.
here are the top 10 things that your employees are asking that the AI cannot answer because you've never created a document for it. So
Wow.
keep that in
And
mind.
let me suggest another step. It could actually say, this employee is now trained really well in this. Right?
That's, yeah, you're not, that is not a wild guess. That's exactly what we do. So
Yeah.
this ability for us to analyze the activity, which really isn't our bread and butter. The bread and butter is quick answers for the people, right?
Right.
But
Right.
the
But the
back
back end
end
is the
is,
exhaust, if you will. Yeah.
yeah, is 10 times more valuable to the organization, because now we can create a continuous improvement loop forever.
That
and
is
keep making the organization
fantastic.
better and better. So this is the one of those unseen wins with AI. Like, yeah, chatbot, cool, get quick, everybody gets that now. What people are missing is the back end vision that the AI can give an organization that they didn't even think about. Like I guarantee you, when I talk to a prospect and I show them the first half of the demo, which is, let me show you how your people are going to get fast answers now, they
Yeah.
love it, but that's what was in their head already. They just didn't quite know what it was going to look like, right? But then I show them these analytical tools on the back end, and their minds are blown because it never even occurred to them that this was a possibility, that I could
Unbelievable.
sit on a week of their transactions and send them an email, all AI generated, that says, here's the top 5 things you need to do at your next training call. Here's
Yeah.
the 5 documents that you're missing in your library that you didn't even know you were missing. And that's what people love, which, if I may, now let me transition to your original question, which is, what is the industry not?
What does the industry not understand right now?
And I'm going to call it data provenance. So
Yeah.
everybody gets that if the AI, whatever, an agent that you built, or like my tool that does, this knowledge management thing, or someone who uses AI to generate legal documents, everybody gets that the AI is only going to be as smart as the data it was trained on. And
Right.
we all intuitively understand that if the AI is trained on garbage, or there's stuff the AI never has seen, that the AI is going to not answer well or do its process properly. Makes sense. Like, if
Right.
you and I went to school and we're taught all the wrong things, well, we're gonna be have learned stuff, but not the right stuff.
Right.
And the question I get over and over again, or the objection I get over and over again is, well, like in my case, Pete, your software is awesome, but our knowledge, like our documentation, is so bad. I don't want to feed it to the AI because the AI is now just going to repeat the bad answers. And I'm like, all right, time out.
Mm.
What you're saying then is, well, I've already provided my employees this content today, right before the AI, and you're saying it's garbage. I agree with you. It probably is exactly what you think. It's probably just as bad as you imagine. But you're saying, well, let's just keep status quo, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
right answer is no. Even if you think it's terrible, use the AI, because the AI is going to give you the visibility to improve your messy data, because now it'll be able to see what's wrong, what's missing, what's obsolete, what's in conflict.
So it's kind of like perfection will kill innovation, is what you're trying to,
Well,
right?
yeah, the don't
Kind of.
let perfect get in the way of good enough is for sure the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I'll think of it another way of, it's like someone saying, I don't want to go to the gym until I'm fit.
Yeah, because they're too embarrassed. They don't want to put on their tight shirt and pant and go there. And
Right.
yeah,
And the reason you go to the gym is because you know you need to get fit. And yes, it's going to expose stuff. Like if I go to the bench press and everybody gives me a smirk because I'm just using the empty bar, but you know how I get strong is by starting with the empty bar.
it was starting with the empty bar. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And
That's how you get the Pete Lunenfeld, you know,
the the
suns
the,
out,
the
guns out
massive
body.
guns,
The
right.
sun's out, guns out. Yeah, absolutely.
But that is the mistake I see these executives who are grappling with how to start with AI or how to get something out of it, is they're so terrified that they're going to be feeding AI garbage, which is the correct fear. But they're missing that one of the real hidden, I'll call it, superpowers of AI is the ability to expose in a good way where the flaws are in priority order, so you can fix them, right? So if I went to
Yeah.
you and said, I need, Michael, I need you to save for retirement, put all the money into savings today. Well, you can't, right? It's too much. What's the way to save for retirement? Well, pull a certain percentage out of your paycheck every week for 20 years. And then before
Yep.
you know it, compound interest has improved you. That's the data problem that AI can help with, is in
That
any
makes a lot
domain.
of
You know, I'm
sense.
thinking of knowledge management, but it's any domain. If you can use AI not only to deliver the outcome, the chatbot, let's say, but also use it to find the holes, the gaps, the problems in your data. And even if you just fixed one or two every week, because now you know what to do first. It's like having the personal trainer that says, yeah, I'm not going to make you Mr. Olympia in a week, but I know that you need to start with squats, right? And I know you need to
Yeah,
start with
yeah,
the
yeah,
bench
yeah.
press. I'm going to show you how to do it. That's the capability AI can bring that's under the surface that executives are just missing, right? Because they're thinking too much about today's outcome and not the long game.
And not the long game. So let me ask you this. Um, so where does the industry go from here? I mean, and we could just say, where does industry go from here? I mean, I'm looking at it and coming from a logistics standpoint. You are industry agnostic in what you're doing. So let's keep it industry agnostic. But those that we're describing, like I'm scared to use AI because of the things that you talk to, or they just don't understand what to use yet. We've talked about what they need to understand. And I was going to ask you, what would you say in 1 minute to the industry? And I think you've just said it. So where do you see this going from here? And what does truth in the industry, if you can grab that in there, that kind of nebulous idea, what does that look like in an AI world?
That's a tough question. I would say that at this point, what are we in, July of 2026?
Something like that, yeah.
I think everyone is, even the most technology fearful person is aware that AI is not going away now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's not a fad.
Yeah.
Right.
A year ago,
Absolutely.
we were still having that
100%.
conversation. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never going to work. It'll never catch on. Never going to do it. I think we're starting to figure out what it will do and what the potentials are. Yeah. It's
Right.
not going away.
So
No.
now
Once
the
China's
trick,
government starts using it against us, it doesn't go
good. That's a question that should be on the table for sure.
away. Yeah.
The the trick now is like any set of tools. Where can I use it? And how can I
Mm.
use it safely and productively, right? AI is just a tool. The internet was just a tool, right?
Yeah.
Spreadsheets were just a
Block.
tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Blockchain.
Blockchain, not a great tool, but yes, a tool. Um,
Well,
yeah,
well, or the people who used it were a tool. I don't know. That's not right. Something like that. Somewhere. I don't
awesome,
know.
awesome.
There's truth in there somewhere.
Yeah. So I think the trick is, I'll tell you, this is just an observation over the last 2.5 years that I've had my AI company. Is 2.5 years ago, there was, I think, a vibe that AI was going to be a thing, like singular, like we have
Yeah.
invented music, and so there will be a company that will be best at music. But
Yes.
that's not really how it's worked out, right? What's worked out is we've splintered into a giant collection of specialties, which maybe shouldn't have surprised us because that's how every other industry works, right?
Yeah.
There isn't capital M music. There's not one musician who does all music. You have classical music, and you have dubstep, and you have classic rock, and you have whatever, right? And you have practitioners who have become experts and amazing in these slivers of capability. I
Yeah.
think as an executive out in industry now, your job is not to try to find the one AI that will rule them all. It's going to be no different than any other vendor selection thing, is identify your problem and then find the solution to fix that problem. And it may be very narrow, right? You may end up finding Like in my case, I do this knowledge management thing, and often my customers say, "Oh, and you're an AI company. Can you do this and do this and do this?" And I'm like, I guess I theoretically could, but I'm going to choose not to, because I'd like to be the very best at this one narrow vertical. And to be honest, for this other thing that you've just dreamed up that you need, there's probably a better practitioner who can deliver that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. All right. Final question. I'm thinking of Red Barchetta.
Well played.
Is there is it possible to play that song too loud?
No.
Okay. I agree with you. I love it. All right. Now that's my favorite on moving picture. What are your top? What's your top or your top three or what when you go to when you go to moving pictures? What do you go to first, and what do you like? You get halfway through and go, wait a minute, that wasn't loud enough. I wasn't enjoying it enough. Let me start it over again.
Oh, I'm a
you know that feeling where
okay,
you start it over.
You went with Red Barchetta, and for the folks who are not Rush geeks like us, that's actually a song about technology taking over and removing the human element, right? Like, which is weirdly topical for this conversation.
I may be a mad genius or just lucky.
Okay.
I'll let you decide.
But if I had to play one song on that album, and it is one of my top 10, Desert Island records, it's
okay.
YYZ for me.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic, right? It is. That is pretty fantastic. And here's the thing is, if you don't know those, you're probably going to one of the pop tunes that, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there was many tunes that, like, Clash apologized for Train in Vain, right? They came out and said, we're sorry. That song sucked. But it was like the most popular song they had. And that's probably why they came out and apologized for it. I don't think there's anything that Rush came out with where they would have to do that. But even on that album, there are those that I don't listen to because they were way overplayed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tom Sawyer,
Limelight.
I've heard a lot.
Tom Sawyer is great, but it's way overplayed. Limelight, I think, isn't that up from that album too?
Yeah.
Too much. I'd rather listen to Fly By Night.
Great song.
Or By Tor and the Snow Dog.
Oh, deep pull.
Yeah, deep pull. Pete, awesome stuff, brother. I love having you. We're going to have to go because AI is not going away. So we're going to have updates on what you're doing and what's going on and talk more and more and more as these things move forward, my brother. What's next for you and CurrentWave.ai? Are you just going to just keep flying and kicking ass and not really making a huge splash, of course, media and pretending?
Yeah, I mean,
I just actually do the work. When I think of people who are just actually getting it done, I think of you.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, for CurrentWave now, we have over 50 customers now, and that's, for a startup, that's come a long way. And I think you mentioned at the beginning, I'm working with another gentleman. We have another startup that is going to be back in the logistics space. So that's super fresh, super new, but an AI logistics focused, again, you know how I roll, narrow focus, do one thing really, really well. And it's going to be about using AI to solve some of the problems in inbound logistics, which is its own kettle of fish.
I love it, brother. I'll give you one piece of advice. Pick up that LP and jam.
Yes, doctor, I have received your prescription and we'll get it filled.
Do it, brother. Do it. And don't let AI take over the music industry. And disco sucks. Just kidding. I love the Bee Gees.
I do too.
Peace and love, my friend.
Thank you, Michael, for having me as always.
I'm going to keep that. I do too. You love the Bee Gees. You heard it here first. Rush and the Bee Gees. That's what, and a little bit of Boomtown Rats in between. That's Pete Lunenfeld. It's the truth, man. It's the signal. We're grounded in truth, and that is the truth. Pete loves the Bee Gees, Rush, and a little bit of Bob Geldof and the Boomtown Rats. Peace and love, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.